Really quickly before we go, I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to say anything about your jobs that we didn't ask you. Anything that you think the public should know about working in elections in Virginia that we didn't ask you.
If they want to know more about the process, they need to volunteer to be an election official. We're always taking applications.
We do have the 45 days of absentee voting going on, so it's your choice. You can show up on a Friday at 4, you can show up at a Saturday at 2, the last 2 Saturdays, or you can go to your neighborhood polling place on election day and see your neighbors working the polls. Again, Virginia has it where you get to choose if you want to vote in person, by mail, or election day. And it's a great resource for the voters to have that opportunity to vote.
I had one quick follow-up question now that I thought of it. Back in 2020, as you guys remember, there were a lot of poll workers who were facing threats because of these conspiracy theories. Has that had any impact on your localities in terms of getting enough volunteers to work the polls? Was there after that in that year, or has it gone back to normal now? What was the impact of that?
I'm happy to answer that, Stephanie in Norfolk. Yes, I've actually received threats before. I have colleagues that have received threats. I have colleagues that have been doxxed. So it has made it harder for people to volunteer. Also after COVID, we have a lot of people that might be elderly that volunteer, or might have an underlying health condition, which made it difficult for them to work. So we did lose some population with regards to that. One of the things that we did as part of the Voter Registrars Association is we introduced legislation to the General Assembly to allow people in our capacity as working in elections, our board, our staff, as well as officers of election, to be on what we call the protected voter list. And that protects your personal home address from being released as long as you have a post office box. It protects your personal information. So that kind of helps with some things. But I know several of us, I think all of us are with the election center. Many of our colleagues across the states, unfortunately, had received threats, some death threats, some had to get higher security. We weren't to that level. But yeah, we get some crazy people every now and then, and we just deal with it. And we've implemented additional security features in our offices, additional cameras, additional security outside to help with some of the stuff that we deal with. We also have our local police that are wonderful, that help us on election day.
After actually 9/11 in 2004, the first presidential, after that, some localities had uniformed police officers in the polling place. My locality chose not to do that. We had police presence around, plain clothes, but not uniformed police. That could be voter intimidation. So moving forward to 2020, the media had the threats out there and were reporting them, which was great. We were more concerned about the COVID voters than anything else in the threats. This year, now we have in 2025, political parties worried about ICE agents coming to the polling place. And that can be a story to look at. Again, it's U.S. citizens that are voting. It's U.S. citizens that are registered. We wouldn't know why ICE would be at a polling place. But I think we would be in contact with state and local officials if any did show up to de-escalate anything that happened in a polling place.
This is David Levine with the City of Richmond. I just wanted to sort of echo that last point by Mark. I think, while I wasn't there in 2020, I do know that we fielded some questions from some folks that are that have asked about whether or not, the federal government might decide to come down right to the City of Richmond, or to have a heavier presence there, perhaps like it's had in other cities. Now, we stay in regular contact with our partners, and there's no indication of any of that. But it's, there have been a couple of folks who have inquired about that, and have at least acknowledged that perhaps will enter the equation for them as to whether or not they plan to be workers. But again, that doesn't represent a huge number of folks, but a couple of folks have certainly inquired to that effect.
All right. Any last words, Samantha?
No last words. Thank you all again for your time. We appreciate it.
I just, one thing I wanted to add, if you'd okay, Samantha, which is I do
Sure.
hope that folks know that, you know, in terms of trusted sources of information, as we're sort of doing this, I do hope that folks feel like if they need to find information that they're reaching out to, right, just to their local election officials, if there's sort of something that comes and arises. And I would encourage folks, if they have questions, to reach out earlier rather than later on this, because, you know, chances are if you've got a question, that means probably someone else has that question.